All right, ladies and gentlemen of Speed Gaming, welcome to the first Super Metroid tournament finals of the 3 tournaments that we have here at SG Live 2020. This is the Super Metroid Randomizer tournament, and our final today is a best of 3 match between azder and Osse101. My name is Kip, and I am joined today by Sloters27. Sloters, what's up, man?
Hey, Kip, how's it going?
Well, and keeping somewhat of a tradition alive, the two of us were knocked out in the Final Four, and now we're here to talk about the guys that beat us, right?
Exactly. We're going to be completely biased. I'm going to root for azder to beat Osse, who kicked my butt in the semifinals, and Kip vice versa. So should be fun.
But in all seriousness, these two guys are very excellent runners, not only of Randomizer and Super Metroid, but they're also very skilled in other randomizers and also just good at running Super Metroid speedrun category. So I'm really interested to see what we're gonna have here in terms of strategy from both players. And both of these guys are obviously very familiar with each other and have run into each other in multiple tournaments in the past.
Yeah, whether you follow Super Metroid Randomizer, Link to the Past Randomizer, or the combo randomizer of the two, you definitely know who these two guys are. You know how good they are with this game, how smart they are with the rando logic. So it's going to be a very exciting matchup.
For sure. And we'll explain just briefly. We won't go into every nuance, but there are probably some people out there that might still not be familiar with the type of randomizer we're using here. It's called the Dash Randomizer. I am one of the people that have worked on kind of coming up with this concept. And a few of the changes that you'll see here that are intended to sort of offer some different types of ways to run the traditional Super Metroid Major Minor is both players start with a starter charge beam that does 1/3 damage, so they can't really soft lock anywhere. But if they never find charge, they can still finish the game. It's just going to be a lot slower and more difficult with the Ridley Mother Brain fights. The gravity suit will allow for half damage to heat. And then one of the other major changes is this one typically has usually less supers than the other ones that we've ran in the past. So there are some other nuanced things that we've done, but those are kind of the main things that typically end up having an impact on the match. So I'm really, really excited to watch these two guys have at it with it.
Absolutely. And so far, first item we found is the Morph Ball. The Morph Ball is going to be available either in its vanilla location or in the Retro Brinstar Ceiling E-Tank location to the right here, which the runners are going to go check as well. That is also going to be a major item, so either E-Tank or Reserve Tank or something useful. And it's Morph Bombs.
Yeah, that is actually another small change to this randomizer. You're not guaranteed to get regular bombs, but we actually upped the chance of that being the progression item from the beginning. Most other ones, a lot of times you'll have power bombs in these situations, but I know that azder sometimes likes to go to the Green Hills route immediately, but he's not going to have a chance to do that this time with the power bomb. I'm actually not familiar if Osse normally does that, but one kind of cool thing about them being forced to go up is that they're both going to have to, go the same direction for at least a short time.
I gotta say, one thing I hate about the starter charge is some strategies.
Yeah.
Up when you're not supposed to have charge at the beginning. This room in particular, I seem to fire my shots off at a weird spot that I normally don't do because of having that charge beam. But it looks like both of them getting through it okay, so that's good.
I agree. It's funny. The 2 rooms that bother me the most are actually near the beginning. It's the pit room and Terminator.
But both of them checking at Mother Brain missiles and picking up a power bomb pack. That's good. That's gonna allow them to make all the Brinstar checks waterway withstanding if they don't find Speed Booster, if they choose to do so, or they could always orphan those checks as well, which is not a uncommon strategy.
That's right. Let's talk for just a minute while they make their way over to the bombs location. Let's talk about their path to get here. I think Osse has not lost, unless I'm mistaken. I think he's 2-0'd all of his matches, although I do believe his quarterfinal match ended up being a forfeit. So he's had 2 different rounds of 2-0. And then azder, I believe, has 2-0'd everyone except for his quarterfinal match against Zost, which ended up being a really fantastic match. It ended up going 2-1. So neither one of these guys have really experienced much adversity so far in this tournament. So it's going to be cool to see how they, respond as they move through this 3-game set.
Absolutely. Both of them just getting an E-Tank from Bomb to Rizzo, not really going to give us much progression, but both doing a good job getting through the fight quickly. And we'll have a few more major items coming up in Brinstar, so we'll kind of get an idea of maybe which direction they're going to head once they get to Red Tower.
And as expected, meaning no offense to either of these guys, but I see more people accidentally getting hit by the enemies in this room in the dash randomizer simply because so many people use a lot of those setups to where you just run in the room a certain way and then hold down, shot in vanilla before you have the charge beam. So that's one of those rooms that kind of gets messed up there.
Yeah, and the runner's finding Spring Ball, which I am very glad to see. Spring Ball, very good item. It allows you to carry your momentum a lot through rooms without having to stop. Also, it has some uses. The midair Spring Ball jump, which you can use in rooms like the Screw Attack room or worst room in the game if you don't have a way up through those rooms through other means. And you can also use that midair Spring Ball jump to do parts of Suitless Meridia, which can be a logical thing to have that to get to some of those suitless locations.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I like finding Spring Ball early, but I'm also a big fan of watching races where people find Spring Ball early because there's a lot of cool ways to use it, even if it's not for tricks. Earlier in the run, but you never see those in speed runs because obviously, you wouldn't even get it at all unless you get it like really late. So pretty cool to see him use it. High jump boots. That's obviously a good item, one of my favorites, and it's going to make a lot of things in the future a lot easier. So cool to see them pick that up. I was telling Sloters off screen a minute ago that, that you have a less chance of finding supers in this randomizer, and part of that is because of the design, the way it's designed with the starter charge beam. We don't want in a lot of Super Metroid randomizers, the Ridley fight can be really super free because you just have a ton of supers and just missile them down. But I have to complain about my own product because last night when I raced azder, I had the 2nd seed. I collected probably more minor items than I've ever collected in a certain span, and I literally had 1 super pack all the way at Ridley. It was awful. So I'm a little jealous that they've already got azder's already got 2 here.
Yeah, it's definitely unusual to have 1 pack all the way deep in Lower Norfair, but it is something that could realistically happen with the way it's designed.
That's right. Looks like Osse is skipping the big pink missile. Also looks like azder is as well. I guess they could potentially go back up, but I would be surprised for them to do that. So that's 1 minor item check that they won't be doing. Not a big deal, but at the same time, can be useful, depending on what the future holds or how they choose to route it. Having another super would be great, or even another power bomb pack, because not in every seed, this doesn't happen, but there is more chance for Lower Norfair hell runs with gravity suit only in this randomizer. And it's really nice to have some extra power bomb packs if you do that.
Oh, and there's an extra one right there for them, so that'll bring their count up to 10.
Ooh, Ice Beam. Man, High Jump Boot and Ice Beam right off the bat before we even get done with Brinstar is really nice. Obviously, it's too early to know, but we do have... Oh, and in Spring Ball, we're 1 grapple away from a nice suitless setup here.
Yeah, not gonna lie, I would be very excited with this loadout. I could maybe not comfortably. Dragon could get a little dicey, but I'm sure both these guys would be capable of doing. Well, maybe not sure if azder knows the double midair spring ball jump, but it's possible to beat Dragon and come back with this equipment. So if they decide to go suitless, it is kind of an option for him now.
And entering red tower, we basically have a dead heat here. So looks like Osse has a few more minor items, but I might even give the edge here to azder in terms of minors because that extra super pack is very nice. But otherwise, really close race so far.
Yeah, I like their decision, both of them, to come down red tower here. I think having the high jump and the rest of the suitless gear so far, as I mentioned, suitless possibly being something they can do, and also having that high jump makes lower Norfair also enticing early on. If they do happen to find one of the suits, it's going to make movement through there a lot easier. They can get through worst room in the game a lot easier. And really, for me, I think dash is really rewarding when you can go down to Norfair, and whether or not you find Varia or the gravity suit, if you're able to clear out lower Norfair when you go down there the first time and work your way back up, that's definitely a huge advantage in dash.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that one. So yeah, they're both heading to Kraid here. They can also, if they choose to, check this Kraid missile. Looks like Osse's going to forgo it for the moment. Maybe he'll come back to it later, or maybe not. azder's going to do the same. Dropping a nice power bomb here to conserve some ammo. Gonna double pop Sklade to get back to full supers there. And unfortunately, azder doesn't have any missiles. Now, I'm confident that he's probably got other methods of doing the quick kill. But I'll be honest with you, Sloters, I pretty much only do the double missile method these days. If you force me to try to do the charge shot one, I don't know if I'd remember how to do it.
Yeah, it can be tough to try to pull out some of those backups when you haven't done them in a while. Osse with the clean quick kill. We'll see if azder can do the same with the 4 super strats. Very nicely done. Oh, wow, and there is the gravity suit.
Oh, baby. azder seems to like that find.
So now they can get through mostly everything in Meridia. They don't have a way to check Plasma, but they can beat Dragon and get out of there. I believe Ice Clip is in logic for this, so they could get to Shack Tool. And they also have the Norfair area. While it's still heated, with a certain number of E-tanks, those checks could be required by the logic. So they have a few options ahead of them now.
And we still got a ways to go. I mean, my assumption, we'll see, but my assumption is that both of these guys will probably go to Norfair here. But we still got a ways to go. I mean, like, even though they have gravity and you know, hell running lower Norfair is already definitely on the table. It's still not always the easiest thing to do. Oh, looks like azder is not going to go down. Neither is Osse. Well, never mind. Apparently, I don't know what I'm talking about. Looks like they're both going to go to Meridia here, maybe. I'm actually a little intrigued by this play. I don't know if that's the play I would have made, but it's interesting. Let's see what happens here.
Well, you know, it is an area that they can beat the boss now and get out. They're going to have to do it anyways at some point. They're already kind of right here at the tube. So, you know, I don't think it's a bad play at all. They'll be able to get some major item checks, possibly more E-tanks to make those Norfair hell runs a little bit more comfy if they do want to do that next. So
yeah,
we'll see if it pans out.
azder skipping Mama Turtle. Osse looking like he's probably going to try to get whatever's here, or at least check it, and then also get the minor item. So that only ended up being an E-tank, so I would give that as technically a win to azder. I do agree that it's faster. There are still certain scenarios that exist where it would be slower to come here now with your item set, but again, it just kind of depends. Looks like azder is going to use some of this snail clip tech to get up to these 2 miners.
And gets rewarded with at least one
Man,
super so far.
nice.
That's really nice. Yeah, so like you mentioned, with the starter charge beam, if he goes into Botwoon, he's not going to be soft locked because of his ammo or anything, but it's going to be a super long fight with charged ice beam shots that do a third of their normal damage. So him finding that super pack there is going to give him the opportunity to have a really fast Botwoon fight, so that's good.
And yeah, sorry, I think you kind of just mentioned this, but Osse's ammo situation is not good for Botwoon at all.
Yeah, I'm assuming he's going to do the same thing azder did and do that clip to get up there. If they don't find ammo there that they want, there is also a little refill station in the room to the right that they could use. So, he'll probably be okay just with the missile and super pack he's going to find here.
You know what I find really fascinating about this? Like, you and I talked about this a little bit off screen before we got on here, but it's like the way Dash is set up is like the possibilities are very different from like your just sort of regular major minor, the kind that we've had for a while. But at the same time, it brings different types of possibilities. Like, I would say the possibilities for a really, solid experienced runner versus someone who isn't as experienced, there's more options and things you can do to overcome maybe not finding some items. But in a lot of ways, when you have two people that are, almost equally skilled, it kind of becomes more of a macro war in terms of like, what do I think the other guy's going to do versus what I'm going to do? And I wonder if both of these guys made this call to try to create some kind of divergence for themselves, and then they ended up actually making the same call.
Yeah, it's hard to say. A lot of these things you kind of have to decide in the moment based on what items you find, or maybe based on what you think your opponent normally does regardless of their items. But yeah, it's kind of funny that they more or less are doing the same thing right now.
Osse is sort of demonstrating, not that he wants to, but he's kind of demonstrating why Botwoon can be such a terrible boss. In particular, like in low percent categories and stuff in Super Metroid, if he doesn't give you the right pattern and you don't like really kill him quickly, this fight can get completely out of control. Now, one thing I do like is he used the SBA for ice, because his regular charge shots right now are only going to do, I think, 30 damage, the starter charge, but I think those SBAs are still doing full damage, so got a little 90 shot for those. Also, this is an awkward Dragon fight for both coming up.
Yeah, this is like more or less a low percent fight, plus having a little bit extra ammo in those high jump boots. So I'm sure you're kind of excited to see them tackle this.
I am excited. To be honest, this is like, if you'd have told me before this final started that we would have a dual, almost low percent Dragon fight in the middle of a run at the same time by both runners, I would not have believed you. This is actually like really interesting. Little known fact, you can actually still kill Dragon off screen in low percent fashion. So be careful when you're pseudo screwing her butt when she's trying to go off screen.
Oh, and speed booster. So there's the other item that would have gave us access to Beyond Botwoon. That's going to be really nice paired with the high jump boots. That'll be very familiar movement for both of them, assuming Osse's going to check that.
Yeah, that's a great find. That's a really great find. And the funny part is both of them are probably going to feel pretty good about it, because again, they don't know what each other's doing. And so both of them probably are under the impression that the other guy probably didn't go to Meridia, and when they find Speed Booster, they're going to be like, oh man, I get to spend the rest of this run having this item that the other guy's not going to have for a long time, if at all. But little do they know that they will. But yeah, Speed Booster is awesome in general, but obviously having high jump boots to go with it makes it way more comfortable. So they're both going to be happy about that.
So assuming that azder's next play is going to be Upper Norfair, it was really nice that he came to Meridia first, because he's going to be able to check this Sandpit Major, which is kind of an item you don't normally check unless you are routing it this way, Meridia to Norfair, or it's sort of like a last resort thing if you're looking for something important like a suit. But we'll get a chance to see what it is. Is that Space Jump I saw, I think? Yep, Space Jump. So all the movement items in the first 20 minutes are azder. They're going to be moving pretty quick through the seed.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm sorry. I was looking at Osse's screen. Did azder just find Space Jump?
Yeah, that was Space Jump at the Sandpit.
Honestly, a pretty good Meridia. I mean, like, if you're going to go to Meridia, in the sort of maybe beginning / middle of a run like this, coming away from it with 2 movement items like that is a pretty big win.
Absolutely. So I gotta imagine both of these guys are starting to think Variolus, Lower Norfair. They haven't been to Norfair yet. They both have 5 tanks, azder with a reserve. Osse only 10 supers, azder 15. There's a decent chance they're going to find 1, maybe 2 more packs down there, and that'll get them pretty close to that 30 to have a fast Ridley fight. But it's really shaping up to be a good seed to do this play. Now, they don't have Plasma or Screw Attack, so that can make certain sections of Lower Norfair pretty scary, but we'll see what they decide to do based on these items they're about to check.
It's a good point. Also, just for the record, this doesn't really apply to this situation because they have high jump boots and speed and can pretty easily do just the new route, worst room in the game. But I did a little testing the other day, Sloters, and technically speaking, with starter charge, you can still do the low % ice worst room in the game strat if you have ice and wave or ice and spazer. I only tested Plasma one time, but it shot straight through the pirate twice and killed it. So there's got to still be a way to do that, but I haven't messed with it. So we won't see that here, but it is cool to know that that's on the table, a little bit more than hardly ever. You hardly ever get to do that strat in a traditional randomizer.
And a very conveniently placed E-Tank for azder there. I want to say his reserve is probably full, if not pretty close, so probably wasn't in too much of danger of dying, but that's always nice to see in the middle of a heated run like that, getting a refill.
Oh, absolutely. And especially with the changes to gravity suit, you got even more leeway for a lot of these hell runs. Looks like Asher's going to check this miner over here, or he at least set up to where he could. I like that play actually a lot. If it had been a super, I'm confident he would have grabbed it, but probably not going to need to with the regular missiles there. But here's the other thing. I mean, you kind of already touched on this a little bit. Oh, we are seeing Croc. I'm a little surprised by that play. But I don't hate it, but I'm just a little surprised. Part of the problem here is they can go to Lower Norfair with gravity, but they don't really have the firepower to do it. Like, it's not going to be easy, and the fight against Ridley would just be terrible. They don't have a ton of supers, and they only have Ice Beam with starter charge. So, yeah, you really got to be careful what you elect to try. Even though Dash makes some things possible, it certainly doesn't make it easy.
So far, just an E-tank behind Croc, which may not necessarily be a bad thing. But we'll see what's at the grapple item. Croc, Croc's tricky. There's 2 checks. It's not an area that, it's not a boss you have to defeat to get into Torian. 2 kind of lengthy checks, but if there's something really big at Croc, that can definitely be a huge swing in a race like this.
Yeah, I mean, the E-Tank isn't terrible, but at the same time, if you're checking Croc, you're probably hoping for more than that. So, azder, I do like this play again. He's looking for more supers, and I'm jealous he's able to actually find them in the Croc area, which was something I was unable to do last night. But that will help him tremendously. He'll also get a chance to farm prior to leaving here. So, one thing you can do here is, since he did go down here, even if he doesn't find another like strong item, if he gets a few good miners, he can refill and then basically skip Bubble Mountain if he wants to try. So there's a lot of options. This is actually turning out to be kind of an interesting seed.
I want to add too, Osse just scouted out the Bubble Mountain miner, which was super pack. So they're going to have azder's going to have another one, assuming he checks that too.
This is so fascinating, them picking up those exact 2 items at the exact same time, because now they both have an extra sort of, safety measure in Lower Norfair. Screw Attack is incredibly valuable in Lower Norfair if you're doing the Hell Run, but at the same time, it does not add any, beam value, whereas Plasma can really help out against Ridley, even if you only have the starter version. The problem with Osse, though, right now is, 10 supers is just not a good amount to be trying to take into a Hell Run to fight Ridley.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that Osse was the one that got Plasma, because like you said, that's going to help him with the Ridley fight, whereas azder would probably be a lot more able to rely a lot more on the ammo, but the Screw Attack would just help a lot with the enemies.
Big time. And then on top of that, Osse just found another one of what I think might be the most important items to take to Lower Norfair. The difference between having grapple in a Lower Norfair Hell Run and not having grapple is actually pretty significant. It makes farming up pre and post Ridley way faster. And that's kind of the thing, again, I don't want to sit here and talk about all the specific nuances of Dash, but one thing I really do like about what we've seen from some of these races is you do have the opportunity to do some things you normally wouldn't be able to do, but they're, number one, they're not easy, and number two, they're not always faster. If you go down there and it takes a really long time to farm and do the fight and get back out, it could be that going to do other checks beforehand would have been, quicker. So I got to give a little bit of edge right now to Osse. Screw Attack is a nice item to have, and azder did find some extra supers, which is a really big deal. But I think in the long run, it's possible that Osse not investing the several minutes to go to Croc could end up being, a little bit more advantageous. But we'll just have to see.
Yeah, and I mean, Osse's really going to have no reason to check Croc, assuming he does Lower Norfair beforehand. Really, the only super useful item for him would be like Charge, right? And having Plasma and Ice, that's really, even without the Charge Beam, it's, not terribly long boss fights. And if he gets more ammo, then, that'll shorten the fights considerably as well.
That super being there is huge.
Yeah, both of them synced up, grabbing that super missile pack. And azder is heading towards... Oh, never mind.
Oh man, this is about. Oh, it looks like Osse is gonna go to Croc. Oh, never mind. I'll take that back. Looks like he's taking a different route there. I hadn't really thought about it. I guess this is probably faster if you have space jump. All right, Sloters. Again, I've had to apologize on commentary before, and I'll apologize again. I'm sorry to float my own boat here, but like what we're about to watch, in my opinion, is very exciting. Like this is going to be really cool to watch, and this is something that we don't normally get to see in a lot of the other randomizers. So, there are some unintended consequences of dash that might be very similar to previous randomizers, but this exact situation is the kind of like new thing it brings to the table. So I'm really excited to watch this. This is going to be fun.
Oh yeah, definitely. If we didn't have those dash changes, you'd probably be feeling pretty bad about not having Varia right now, and you'd either be digging in those deep Meridia spots or just going up to wreck ship and hoping you find it somewhere. So very cool we get to see an opportunity like this to hell run through Lower Norfair.
Interesting what just happened. Osse is skipping screw attack location, which I actually agree with because Varia can't be there. But at the same time, he accidentally messed up a short charge and had to lay power bombs. Whereas azder is about to be able to blitz through a lot more stuff here because he's got screw attack and space jump. So even though azder ended up investing more time to go pick up those proc location items, he's going to have a lot more safety with the screw, and having those 10 extra supers is a very, very big deal. Never sleep on the importance of minor items, kids.
All right, both of them going to check the Fire Fleet E-Tank. We'll see what they get. Wave Beam, which...
Ooh, that's nice.
Yeah, that is a nice item to get right now. It's going to make their beam a little bit more powerful against Ridley. That's good for Osse, as he won't have to rely on his ammo as much. Also, it's just probably an item you're used to having playing through this section of the game if you play 100% or old route any. So they'll be able to kind of rely on some muscle memory with strats that they already know.
We'll have to wait and see. Another thing that I mentioned earlier is that we've already talked about several times is that grapple situation. I'm really curious to see. Man, I'm so happy that this turned out this way. I don't think we've ever seen like a heads-up race between like two really high-level players that have featured like a situation like this where there's slightly different item sets in Lower Norfair, and it's really going to be interesting to see how this plays out because azder has a big advantage with the extra supers and screw attack, but at the same time, that grapple beam is going to make up some of that time in the room before Ridley, both before and after, especially if we don't get an energy tank from the Ridley location.
So unfortunately, I don't know if azder didn't go for the Shine Sparks or just missed it, but he ends up using supers on the Metal Pirate. So, I mean, he used a considerable amount of ammo to get through that room. So he's probably going to want to farm up at least a little bit. Well, maybe he won't. 60 shots with that beam combo, so it's sort of like a new route situation. Yeah, Osse looking good on ammo. Doesn't really have to farm much after Shine Sparking those pirates, so he'll just do probably a little bit more health refill here, and then he'll enter the fight as well.
So his beam combination is doing 300. One thing I will say, we made a few changes to this current randomizer for this tournament that are different from the original dash. The original dash only had 50% defense or whatever on gravity, but this one has the full value. If we had the old values here, this would be even more dangerous. But luckily, he's got a little bit of leeway here. Looks like he chose not to farm a ton. Going to rely on this beam to do a lot of the fight. So it's going well so far. Osse has a ton of RBO experience.
That was a really good double X factor. Sorry to cut you off, but doing that damage list is super tough.
Yeah, he literally just demonstrated exactly what I was talking about. Some of that RBO experience coming back to help him there. Oh, this is not good for azder. Oh, but he does have the reserves, which is very good. Okay, he should survive this. And it's not going to health bomb him. Hopefully he'll get enough energy to get in and out. Okay, that's good. It happened to me the other day where I did this and I got literally one energy. Oh, that is the most troll thing possible. And then now that grapple beam means even more. Like that grapple beam is a very, very big deal here in a minute. We're about to see Osse make up some significant time in this room. Unfortunately, azder is letting the bugs go above his head to kill him, which is fine, but you can actually, if you wait on them to move at you, you can let them go under you, and it's a little bit quicker. And in this current situation, that means he's losing like a little bit more health per bug farm. It's still okay. I mean, he can still get enough items to Crystal Flash. He just needs to get 4 supers. But as you can already see, if you look at Osse's screen, he is already in significantly better shape with this grapple beam. I mean, like, this is pretty crazy to imagine that the grapple beam right now is literally making the difference between, you know, what's happening and what's not. Oh no, Osse just messed up. Oh my god.
Oh wow, he got back into play.
Holy cow.
That is super scary.
Dude, I don't think your average person, I don't even know how to explain what just happened, and I don't think your average viewer is going to understand how wild that was, but holy cow.
I think Chad has confirmed it is. So to Crystal Flash, you need to lay the power bomb in a spot, and you need to be pixel perfect X and Y position, I believe, at that spot and hold the inputs for it to go off. When Osse bounced away, he had to land back in the pixel perfect spot, or else that Crystal Flash wasn't going to go off and he was going to die. And somehow he did it. That was insane.
Well, now the shoe's on the other foot, if you will, to use the expression, because now that they've gotten past the part where grapple really helps, azder has a significant advantage having that screw attack going through these last few rooms, especially when they get, to the Three Musketeers. So this is a pretty crazy race, man. Of course, the flip side is, having plasma does make that also a lot safer than it would otherwise be. But just between me and you, if I was forced to only have one in that room exclusively, I would definitely go for screw attack.
Oh yeah.
They look like they're both going to make it just fine, though.
So at this point, they don't need any more items. They just need to beat Phantoon. If they want to get more ammo to potentially speed up the Mother Brain fight, they can get it. Although with their beam combo, it's a 60-shot fight, so probably not worth, going super far out of the way. Maybe if you see a super along the path. But it's going to kind of just come down to execution at this point. azder has a little bit of a lead at the moment, so it's really going to be an execution battle. And we didn't really mention it at the start of the race, but these guys have pretty close times, like in all the speedrun categories. I think their any percent PBs are like within a minute of each other, so they're on a very similar skill level as far as that goes.
Yeah, for sure. Gotta probably give the advantage currently to azder in terms of, obviously he's a few rooms ahead. And he does technically have the higher capacity for some supers, which could be helpful, but at the same time, he's really low on ammo right now, whereas Osse's very, pretty strapped, which could make a difference. When you don't find... Like another thing about Dash that I'm still working on trying to iron out the kinks, but one of the visions is that we want minor items to be a legitimate choice, because if you don't find regular charge beam, you can still finish the game. But depending on your beam combination and what minors were available, a lot of those later fights can be really slow. And so if in theory, if Azder stopped at the ship and got full supers, that would pretty significantly drop, the length of that mother brain fight. But then again, you'd be, spending time getting them in the, in the refill. So this is very, very close.
Oh, another super pack there. Azder, don't know if he meant to dodge it, but he can always get it on the way back if he really wants to.
Yeah, honestly, that probably might be a break-even play. I mean, you're given 7 seconds or whatever for the fanfare, but assuming they don't check any more major items on the way, an extra 1,500 damage on Mother Brain, with their current beam combination is like 5 charge shots worth. So let me give a quick shout out to my guy, Mass Hysteria. He's actually an IRL friend of mine. He's the primary guy that's done a lot of the work on the coding of helping me with stuff with Dash. For a long time, we couldn't quite figure out how to get the damage values on the starter charge to be at exactly 1/3. We asked around and got a lot of people's help, and we still couldn't quite get it correct. But he recently found something to get it, and so whatever their current beam damage is, like without charge, is exactly the amount of damage they'll do when they shoot a charge shot. So right now, both of these guys will be doing 300 per charge shot when they fight Mother Brain.
So far, neither of these guys getting super great Phantoon RNG. Haven't seen any fasts yet. As they're finishing up with a small Doppler, ending with a super. Osse looks like he's going to need another round. Can probably finish Phantoon if he gets enough missiles on.
And he gets the slow there, so he should be about 20 seconds or so, maybe more like 15 behind Azder here. Look, it's unlikely that this thing finishes within like 1 or 2 seconds, but I will say if it does for some crazy reason, remember what just happened to Osse. He shot his super missile to kill Phantoon as Phantoon was flying off screen, which caused a couple of extra seconds of Phantoon having to come back on screen to do the death animation. That's not, you don't normally see that. It's not, a super huge deal. Obviously, it's probably not going to make the difference, but sometimes you just never know what kind of small thing ends up, being the difference between a win and a loss. Oh my God, dude. They're about to be basically synced going into Terminator, probably. Like maybe 5 seconds or so. Well, maybe a few more than that. But him stopping to get the ship definitely let Osse gain some time. But still at the same time, probably the best play. Because now he can just run and gun and Torian without really having to worry about anything. And he's got extra supers for the Mother Brain fight.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the math entirely on like whether, a ship refill is going to be worth it with, this ammo capacity and these beams and whatnot. But I think being at full ammo here is going to be really nice. He was at like 25 and 5 supers, which isn't super low, but not having to worry about getting shorted and having to, like, reload room 4 or whatever. That's kind of like a way to relieve your stress and not have to worry about something like that.
I know that you and I are just on commentary here, and we don't really have a stake. But I got to admit, like, I'm actually nervous right now. Like, this is a great race.
Absolutely. And they really, both of them, they did a lot of really similar things. Of course, azder went to Croc. He did the Mama Turtle skip, which Osse ended up checking. But for the most part, it's like they're kind of just doing the same things, but these like slight differences in the things they're checking is sort of giving one guy time in one place or giving time somewhere else. So it's super fascinating to watch it unfold.
Big time. And right now, the single biggest difference in terms of time is probably the Batoon thing. With Osse not checking as many miners and not getting an extra super pack, that Batoon ended up being very costly. But they're both still in it. Let's see what happens with the baby skips. That last jump from azder looked a little awkward, but I think, yeah, but it was enough for him to not get grabbed. Osse's is looking good. Oh, man.
Chat bringing up something too. azder with screw attack equipped can't do sort of the standard ice zeb skip through the first zebutite, so he's not going for the short charge. Okay, he's going to pause and unequip screw attack here so he can do that zeb skip, which will give Osse a little bit more time.
Osse having to do the second try, and then even though Osse has more regular missiles, and somebody would probably need to test this, or I'm sure someone in the chat could probably tell me, I believe that firing infinite supers, or excuse me, infinite like missiles would be faster technically than charged like shots for 300 damage. Osse's got several more regular missiles, but azder's got several more supers, and I think those supers might end up being the difference here between these two fights, assuming that they don't like get nervous and botch this fight. But they're gonna have to shoot, probably 40-something times or so to finish the fight with all the other ammo they use. So there's definitely a second or two to be made from missed charge shots. Another thing, Osse cannot do stand-up, unless I'm mistaken. He's got 7 tanks, but he doesn't have enough energy.
Yeah, I don't think he's picked up a reserve, so I don't think he has extra energy.
Flip side is stand-up it'll still help, but it will not help as much in this circumstance because they'll only be doing 300 damage instead of 900. So it's not going to be a huge thing, but when you're talking about like a second or two, I mean, that could make the difference.
Oh, definitely. And also, you can consider not just, the shots you get in during stand-up, but also allowing the baby to detach at a better spot to sort of speed up that cutscene of her taking the rainbow beam shot. So that's also like a couple seconds.
Yeah, still anything can happen. It's very, very close. But azder is definitely in the lead at the moment and likely to gain a few seconds here from his stand-up, assuming nothing weird happens. But we still got the escape, and anything can happen.
And I think both these guys, they probably feel pretty good about the decisions they made. But it's randomizer. You never really know what your opponent did. And, to them, they may, Osse maybe fell with his Batoon fight, or azder with doing the farming after Ridley. Stuff like that can kind of get in your head. And you're really not sure what your opponent did, if they did the same thing, had, similar missteps. Or, what if they went up to wreck ship and Varia was the first thing they found. So finishing these in under 50 minutes isn't free by any means, but you might be a little bit nervous knowing you're going to finish over that 50-minute mark when you're playing with players of this caliber.
Yeah, for sure. Man, this ended up being a very fascinating one in terms of just thinking about the decisions and the time and all the different options. And oh my goodness, wow, this one turned out to be very, very intriguing.
Azder electing not to do the blue bomber, making me very upset. Maybe Osse will do good. Now he's gonna shine spark too. That's a tricky strat to pull out when you don't know where your opponent is.
Do these guys do the behemoth spark? I want to say Osse doesn't either. Yeah, not a big deal. I don't even think that saves a full second. Osse unfortunately falling down, but man, azder is going to finish in first place in such an incredibly competitive and intriguing match. So GG to azder. What's his official time there, Sloters?
Azder finished with an official race time GG time of 50 minutes and 28 seconds. And Osse coming on the ship with an official time of 50 minutes and 42 seconds. So 14-second difference. GG to both of these runners. What a phenomenal race that was. Holy moly.
It is going to be very difficult to top that, but I will tell you this again. I'm somewhat biased and sort of invested here, but that was exactly what I was hoping for from at least one of the races in the finals. A lot of intrigue, a lot of different decisions, and some really, really interesting close moments. I mean, both of these guys almost died in Lower Norfair. Let's not forget Osse had to pull off a pixel perfect reposition for a crystal flash, and azder got down into beeping at least I think twice while trying to farm. So man, what a race.
So while we're watching the credits here and have a little bit of downtime, if you haven't, follow these runners. If you enjoy Super Metroid, Link to the Past, both of them, Randomizer, give these two a follow, azder and Osse101. Both of them clearly phenomenal players, really know what they're doing. They're very entertaining to watch, as you just saw.
And while we're waiting on the next room to be set up and the next race to happen, again, this is a best of 3, so we will have all 3 matches or all 3 games if needed, all in a row. If azder wins the next game, that will end the match and he will be the champion. But let me give you a quick reminder too that immediately following this series, the next thing that's going to be restreamed on SpeedGaming, unless I'm mistaken, is our DAB finals between Andrew, formerly known as Fuzda, and Derp. So that'll also be a really cool match to watch, and so stick around to watch that as well. I'm going to take just a short couple minutes here while they're getting everything set up, and we'll be back here shortly. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get geared up for game number 2 between azder and Osse101 in the finals of the Super Metroid Randomizer Tournament SG Live. If you are just coming in, do yourself a favor and go watch the past broadcast of the last race. azder was kind of making fun of me in the chat a second ago in the GG chat because I told them that was the most fun rando race of Super Metroid that I've ever watched. And he said, yeah, you said that a couple days ago about me and Zos. And I said, that's true. And I didn't expect anything tonight to be able to top how hyped that was. But somehow we did it. That was a really, really fun race. So I'm curious to see what we've got in store for game number 2.
Absolutely. I'm just lost for words. I don't know what else to say about that race. Once again, we have Morph Ball as our first item. Then we'll see what's over at the Retro Brinstar E-Tank next.
By the way, I gotta really hand it to my guys over here. I know azder's had longer hair for a while, but I hadn't seen Osse in a while, and I got to hang out with him last year at SG Live when it was actually in person. And he's rocking the long hair. Good look, Osse. I dig it, man. Way to go.
Yeah, they're definitely rocking it.
We got another bomb seed.
Oh, is this even randomized from the last seed?
This has kind of happened a little bit in this particular tournament. I don't know what's going on, but I've noticed that a lot of the seeds, for whatever reason, in these different matches end up being like having some early similarities. Zenny and I had early speed booster in all 3 of our races. Like we all had speed booster before the end of Brinstar in all 3, which is totally crazy.
I think I remember in the first Dash tournament we had, I think a lot of the matches had like charge beam right at the start too. At least a lot of the ones I played, which was really strange and kind of didn't get to show off the changes with the charge beam.
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of which, I failed to mention, this is only the second event that we've had the Dash Randomizer be used. The first one was actually at the beginning of 2020. It was our very first one-day Super Metroid tournament that we streamed all day on SpeedGaming, and that ended up being a really fun event. And our man Sloters here ended up being the champion. So that was a really fun event. But yeah, I think you were right. We ended up with like a lot of charge seeds in that tournament.
Yep, that's the randomizer for you.
So here's an interesting thing. I actually have been Osse's doing exactly what I was about to say. When you have a seed that you get the bombs early, you know you are guaranteed to have to spend an extra probably 15 to 20 seconds doing this bomb to Rizzo fight. And you can, this item can be really important. Like, that is a huge thing for azder to find right there. But if in theory, since you can't get a suit there, if that ended up being like an energy tank, then you could end up saving a nice little chunk of time by not going down there. But that's a huge find for azder.
Really cool, by the way, that azder got to show off the sort of like one-round BT. Normally you don't have supers when you come in this room. Even in Randomizer, it's kind of rare to have bombs. And he's showed off you can get a really fast fight if you have both missiles and supers, so that was cool.
Definitely. And I will tell y'all this, I hate to say it this way, but it just is what it is. Also, you'll have to forgive my puppy Sam. She wants more treats. She's whining at me a little bit here, but basically, it's not guaranteed that that ends up being the game-breaking decision, but it's technically possible. It's not Osse's fault. It was very unlikely to be an item that could be potentially like a hard progression item. But if Speed Booster is like deep in Meridia or something like that, and ice is your intended way to get through Meridia, this could end up being a very, very big deal.
Honestly, thought he was gonna go back for those power bombs, but I guess decided he'll probably find more somewhere later if he really needs them. He's gonna continue doing these green Brinstar checks. We'll see the Edakun's E-Tank. And Vanilla E-Tank. Very nice reverse mock ball from azder. He will pick up those power bombs. So that'll bring him up to 10. Same count as Osse.
You know, this seed is already disappointing because we haven't had early spring ball yet. I know you're probably feeling pretty bad about that, Slutter. Sorry.
You know, you can't win them all. Some seeds are just bad from the get-go, but you know, maybe we'll find a little bit later. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this check Osse is doing is out of logic. You either need the wave beam or high jump for this to be an in-logic check, but most people are familiar with the setup to do it without high jump, so they'll usually check it the first time through.
You know, off the top of my head, I thought that it was one of those things that had already been taken care of in terms of like you're expected to know how to do the trick, but maybe I'll have to go check on that. So either way, at this point, if you've made it to the finals of any Super Metroid Randomizer tournament, pretty good chance you know how to do a super shot there.
Yeah. Tracy confirming it is a logical check now. So here's a deciding moment. Will Osse go up or down? I see him jumping into red tower. That could be an indication he is going up.
He's going up, but quick, take a look at azder's screen. This is a pretty big deal. He missed a few shots to get that gate open and had not found a second super pack. He used his last shot and was able to get it, but now the problem is he needs to have a super missile to get out of Big Pink. It looks like Osse's got 10. Maybe this bottom pack is a super. If I were azder, I'd go check it first instead of trying to farm one here, because this could end up taking a while, especially if that bottom one ends up being a super pack. But if it's not a super pack, then this is not a good time investment here.
There we go. Oh, it looked like he was already down there before, so yeah, he knew it wasn't a super. So Osse's only options for getting across the moat are the same if you were doing an any percent run. He can either do the frame perfect into a double frame perfect CWJ, or do the horizontal or diagonal bomb jump, however you want to call it, which he just attempted. So, you know, early rec ship can be a pretty big play, but it can require some difficult techniques to make it work. And azder choosing to go down again. So we'll get a little route divergence early on. We'll be able to see items in both areas. So far, azder just getting an E-Tank. Can certainly help him out with some hell runs, but maybe not quite what he was hoping for. Osse coming into the wrecked ship now, having 3 E-Tanks, pretty much full health, and having that screw attack is going to make a very comfortable Phantoon fight. There's very little risk of dying here, so should not really be concerned.
Yeah, he should be in good shape. Plus, both these guys are pretty familiar with any percent new route, and I think even some low percent. So I don't expect either one to have tremendous difficulty with Phantoon. Nice super pack there for azder. These super packs are a really big deal. I know I keep kind of harping on it, but we saw that in the last race. We definitely saw it last night as well. So these things, they're not trivial. I don't know if Osse got enough. Yeah, I was going to say he knows he probably didn't get enough on the first round to get a 2-round. So he just went ahead and committed to popping as many as he could there to save some time and finishes it up nicely. Nice fight there. And a nice quick kill.
Yeah, azder showing off both quick kill methods with game 1 and 2, showing he's a very versatile player. And gets that X-ray scope behind Kraid.
Another item that got a small buff in the dash changes. Not because it got buffed itself, but just because now instead of needing 3 different items to achieve the microwave beam, you only need 2. But the flip side of that is it's not as powerful, but it's still able to be used, especially if you're low on ammo in certain situations. He'll need the plasma to round that out. Let's see what we got for Osse. Item number 1. Dude, all right, I'm salty. Can I just be salty for a second?
Yes, please be salty.
So I went down both my races last night. azder went up. In his first race, he found gravity at that location. In his second, he found high jump boots. And basically, as soon as he found those 2 items, the races were pretty much over. And now in this race, Osse does the same thing. And there's high jump boots right there. What is going on, man?
I'm a big advocate of going down to Norfair first. I feel Dash definitely incentivizes going down to Norfair first, just with the way gravity works now in this. But I feel my heart's been broken by this tournament because Wreck Ship first has been such the right play so many times. It feels like, at least in the matches I've played and a lot of the ones I've watched. So I don't know what to say. I'm heartbroken.
I feel like I'm Dr. Frankenstein, and Dash has just started killing all of my friends and lovers and everything. This is really terrible. Osse drawing a blank on that second item there. Curious to see if he continues. If he does continue, it is likely that he will only be able to get 1 more major. The only way that he could get 2 more is if he finds Speed Booster at the gravity location. Otherwise, he will not be able to. This would probably be a good spot to leave. You've got a progression item. And one thing I will say is, of all items to be there that could be progression items other than suits, versus azder specifically, that might be the most powerful one for Osse to find for an advantage, because unless he's added it to his repertoire recently and I'm unaware, I'm pretty confident that azder never does high jump bootless lava dives to lower Norfair. So even if he were to find Varia, for example, you would not see him attempt that. He would have to go up to Wreck Ship to get the high jump boots before going back down. Now, there's still obviously some different scenarios that could put either guy back in the lead, but finding high jump boots there is a pretty big deal versus azder in this particular matchup.
I totally agree. Not just with the high jumpless lava dive, but if you plan on doing suitless Meridia, high jump is like one of the non-negotiable items. Like you do not want to try to attempt suitless Meridia without high jump. So if that's needed, or if it's just convenient to do suitless Meridia, and rather than search out gravity, that's huge. Finding high jump there.
That's another excellent point. Osse was trying to get a nice little moonfall there, but just got tripped up a little bit. It's hard to do that one in that spot because of how blind it is. But then he finally just gave up on it and did it the normal way. So we did not see a true hell run last match because we found gravity so early. I mean, we saw hell runs, but we saw them with gravity. Now we're having like the real hell runs here. A lot of people will ask or kind of talk about this, and Sloters, you're feel free to disagree with me. But just as in general, the way these randomizers are designed, not only Dash, but kind of our traditional major minors, it is exceptionally rare that doing a lower Norfair run suitless, completely suitless, is ever a good decision. It's super rare. And on top of that, I'm still not even sure if it's worth it for time. So we will probably be unlikely to see either runner attempt that. Would you agree or disagree?
I absolutely agree, especially in major minor. There's only a limited number of places where various suit could be. You're going to need a lot of ammo and to get really lucky with the E-tanks if you don't have the ammo you need to make it work. So, I mean, with full rando, I think I've only done it. Oh, wow, there's a gravity suit at the speed booster location. So, wow, that's nice for azder for sure.
Yeah, but at the same time, I guess having space jump and screw definitely helps. See, this is another thing I like about Dash. Obviously, we still have some kinks to work out and balancing some things, but one thing I do like about it is if you want to do that lower Norfair hell run, you still have to be very aware of your current item set, and some item sets are good for it and some are not. Having space jump and screw definitely helps, but not having high jump boots or speed booster can still make certain parts really slow or even dangerous. Like the Metal Pirates, you're going to have to fire extra supers. Neither one of these runners currently have a lot of supers. Supers are a big deal against Ridley. So I don't think either runner currently is going to feel super comfy trying to go down there. azder should be fine. But still, oh my God, he got three big energies. As long as he doesn't get hit by whatever you call this guy.
Garuda, I believe.
All right, he's good. He's good.
That big sigh of relief as he comes out of there. That having the webcams is a really nice touch for this. I think we need to do that more often for stuff like this.
I agree. You know what? The funny thing is obviously I'm not rooting for either guy to have an advantage, but I kind of am rooting for azder to find Varia right here. Because if Varia is in this location, the difference between the lower Norfairs would be really interesting to watch. Oh, it's not meant to be. With, you know, Osse having committed some extra time to go pick up the stuff at wrecked ship, but then having high jump boots inside of lower Norfair would have been kind of interesting to watch how much time he would have been able to sort of make up. But it looks like azder is probably at this point going to go check Croc or head up to wrecked ship, or maybe even go to Meridia. I mean, Meridia wouldn't be a terrible play here either.
No, I mean, this is kind of similar to the loadout they had in the first game, and they decided to go to Meridia after Kraid, so could definitely see that being an option.
Unfortunately, azder does not have speed booster, nor does he have the wave beam, and I think you have to either have wave and spacer or wave and plasma to do the frog speedway tech, reverse tech or whatever. So he's gonna have to spend a little bit of time exiting here. I actually think he's making the right call given his circumstance. But if I were in Osse's position, I mean, you tell me what you think, Slurs. If you were in Osse's position, and then you do the full clear of Bubble Mountain and find the same thing that azder found, I would go ahead and check Croc, because having already cleared 2 of the 4 items in wreck ship and then having high jump boots, like I'd probably just clear Croc, hope for another good item or so, and then I'd probably go ahead and head to Lower North Fair. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a good play. His ammo is in, at least supers wise, is in a good position where if he finds 2 more packs, Ridley, probably wouldn't give him a hard time. And yeah, going up to wreck ship, high jump is a great find, but going up there and not finding a suit, you might feel a little bit concerned. So he might feel like if he has the proper gear, after getting the high jump up there and finding what he finds here, that gearing up as much as you can with Croc and heading to Lower North Fair would be the right play.
I didn't see what azder saw at Mama Turtle, but it must have been something that he didn't want. I'm assuming probably an energy tank or something. Man, once again, I'm really pleased. Like, I'm not saying I don't have a problem with seeds that end up kind of being played straightforward. I mean, azder made a good point in the interview last night, and this is something I've said before, that like you need to have. Oh my God. Okay, that's a big deal on Osse's end. That might be the game. However, he still doesn't have ice, but I just can't imagine that being the thing that makes up the difference. In fact, he might literally leave right now. Like, he might leave Croc and not even check grapple. But anyway, what I was saying was, you don't want to have it to where every seed is crazy, because then that's the norm. And so I don't hate straightforward seeds occasionally, for sure, but I'm really happy that the seeds so far in the finals have been like legitimately interesting and have had multiple different options. I really wanted that for these 2 players, and for this event in particular. And so I'm really happy so far with the result that we've had. Somebody was asking where Charge was. Charge was in the ship when they got on the planet. Sorry, I knew somebody in chat would fill him in. But yeah, that's the starter charge that they have that's in the dash randomizer. Yeah, no problem. Just have a little fun. Great question though. So yeah, we've got the starter charge in the dash randomizer. It does 1/3 damage, as our folks in chat, thank you Rumble, and others have pointed out. It lets the runners have a little bit more leeway on certain decisions when it comes to ammo and bosses. Less soft lock potential, etc. There are some seeds where it ends up not making a difference, but then there are others where it brings a lot of intrigue to the different decisions you can make. We also coupled that with less supers on average. There's typically a lot less supers in a run than you would see in some of the more traditional major minor splits. So Asher found grapple. That's actually like a good item to have. I mean, I like having grapple when I'm fighting Dragon, especially when I don't have speed booster. And as we pointed out before, it's also good for for lower Norfair. But it's always nice having that as a backup for the Dragon fight, because without speed booster, the Dragon fight can be pretty long if you don't have grapple.
Another super pack there for azder. You know, his loadout is starting to look good for Ridley, but really the one missing thing is that super count. If he can manage to find maybe one more somewhere in Meridia here, he might be tempted to do what Osse's doing right now and head to lower Norfair. But yeah, man, that various spot is just, it's tough for azder, I think, to go back and check that, given, you know, the stuff that he still has available right now.
I agree. The flip side, though, is this Ridley fight is going to be, even though, he's got Varia and he's not going to take any heat damage. Oh, man, I just realized that Osse came down here without finding gravity, which he will most certainly find afterwards. Azder just barely missing the quick grapple kill, but he should still be fine. It'll just take a few extra seconds. But I don't want to, mess up Osse here. I don't believe in commentator curses. Plus, he's got screw attack, which makes it way safer. But at the same time, I mean, Varia lower Norfair is not that great because you're only getting 50% defense or whatever. And this fight with Ridley could potentially be pretty a good bit longer than average, or just slower because of the power bomb drop. So once again, I hate to keep beating a dead horse here, but I'm really happy that we're seeing some of the changes. Like the Ridley fight in particular, in my opinion, and a lot of randomizers, is just way too free. He's the coolest boss in the game, the most interesting circumstance in a lot of our speedrun categories. And in a lot of randomizers, it just gets reduced to like a 12-second fight where you just shoot tons of supers because they're just so readily available. So it's kind of neat to see the players having to actually like consider that going into it.
I want to point out azder just found the plasma beam at space jump. Obviously, you know, without charge, the beam's still not really at its full potential, but that's going to be a very nice DPS upgrade even without charge.
Osse's probably hoping for plasma here, or maybe charge. No, not going to happen. So right now, let's crunch the numbers. Osse is almost certainly going to check Power Bomb's shame location. He currently has exactly half of Ridley's 18,000 health in supers. That's a big pack.
Yes, that is.
So he's got 2/3 of the damage in supers. So that's going to leave, if he connects with all of those, that's going to leave Ridley with 6,000 energy. 2,000 of it can go to the regular missiles, so that leaves 4,000. Technically, the power bombs can do 400 damage if you set them correctly. So technically, he could, if he double hit 10 power bombs in a row and then unloaded all of the projectiles correctly, he could get through the fight without any beam shots.
and azder heading down the elevator. So unless, he's thinking about going back to Croc now, I think his next plan is Lower Norfair. Because given with the plasma he found, that's gonna require a lot less beam shots for the Ridley fight. His super count probably not where he wants it to be, but between the supers and his regular missiles, that'll do a decent chunk of damage, even before the beam shots. So he's in decent shape.
Yeah, this is still pretty interesting. Gotta assume that Osse's still in a pretty commanding position here with the high jump boot find and Varia earlier. But this can still get a little tricky. I mean, Ridley's doing 80 damage per hit or 60 with the tail. And he's having to, do a lot of these power bombs, which is going to be a little bit slower. Of course, he can be a little bit more comfy in this fight since he doesn't have his health ticking down. At this point, he's probably waiting on Ridley to change color, and then once Ridley changes color, he will know that he is, there it goes, he is below 50%, and that means that you can unload 15 supers and finish the fight. That should do it. Nicely done.
Very good that he landed all those supers. Missing one would add another power bomb or two. Do you remember where Speed Booster was? I don't seem to remember where azder found that.
Was it Dragon or Sandpit, maybe?
Plasma was at Dragon, so maybe it was Sandpit. Yeah, chat confirms it was left Sandpit. Thank you, chat. So yeah, speed is something that Osse likely will not find. I cannot imagine, he goes there looking for something.
Well, he actually has to go find ice. Unless he wants to crystal flash clip, I guess.
Well, if he finds gravity, I know he's perfectly comfortable doing the crystal flash clip. He has 30 power bombs, so he'll have way more tries than he really needs for it. So I don't think he's going to be hunting for ice or speed in this one.
It's crazy how... well, I feel like this probably would happen anyway in the long term, but I kind of feel like SMZ3 really pushed this progression. It's crazy how in the past, crystal flash clipping to Botwoon was considered this incredibly sort of niche thing that very few people spent the time to work on. And now, like, a lot of the players know how to do it. So it's like, to him, it's probably not even a big deal. For me, I'd be like, I got to find ice. So it's pretty cool how people have leveled up over the years.
Oh yeah, shout outs to that Sephi and Becky match from 2017. That was like the mind-blowing play of the the whole set was that crystal flash clip. But yeah, a lot of people are doing it now, and it's super helpful in situations like this. For a lot of players, missing that ice and having to either go back for that or go in the sandpit for the speed booster, might be like a GG in a lot of scenarios. But having that trick up your sleeve, keeps you from losing that time.
So azder still, first of all, his Ridley, well, it might be a little faster, but anyway, he's probably going to have to do maybe a little bit more farming. So it might end up being a little bit of a push, but his lower Norfair is going to be probably in the same ballpark as Osse's. He still has to kill Fantoon. However, let's assume Osse does end up crystal flash clipping to Botwoon. That means he's probably going to finish his run without speed and without ice beam. So how much time can azder make up in Torian and then other situations because of that?
I mean, obviously, his movement is going to be impacted big time, not having speed, not having the ability to zeb skip. He's going to have to sacrifice ammo to do that. So if he doesn't find charge, that's just going to lengthen that Mother Brain fight for sure. I mean, it's a very interesting situation we're in right now.
Nice sound glitch there.
Someone needs to make like a soundboard with just like all the different weird noises we've made with the doors and all that.
Yeah. All right, let's see how azder manages this Ridley fight. He opted to not farm to full supers, even though he had the grapple beam. I don't know if that was the right decision or not. It could be better than what he's doing now, since he does have the plasma and ice combo. But still, those super missiles are just so powerful. This could end up being the better choice, though. So we'll see. I want to say he's doing, is it 250 damage per shot or something like that, or 300 with plasma ice? I think it's 200 or 250. I've got it written down. Hold on, I'll look it up.
No, to be honest, I don't know most of the damage values. I just kind of like say, okay, this is a 30 shot fight with the charge. It'll be a 90 without charge, and that's how I do my math.
Yeah,
and do my thinking for this kind of
it's
stuff.
200. So every time he hits Ridley, he's doing 200 damage. So the math tells me that farming up with the supers was probably the better call, especially considering that it's way safer. You're not going to get stuck. I'm a little nervous about this fight not being able to be finished here. Of course, I was nervous last time, and he had 200 in the tank, and he was able to finish it. But we'll see. We'll see. He needs to wrap it up soon, though. That was not the... oh, no.
Oh, no.
Obviously, you never want to see that. That's not good. However, not guaranteed that he would have lost, but the sort of silver lining is more than likely he was probably behind at that point anyway. And again, you never know what's going to happen with the rest of the run. Osse still got to do the Crystal Flash clip, and probably going to have a little bit of a slower Torian because of not having ice, but he was probably enough ahead to where this might not end up being the difference between winning and losing. But this is another one of those things. It's like having gravity, be able to get you through Lower Norfair is a great touch, but at the same time, it can cost a lot of time, and it can be a lot more dangerous. So there's a give and take on every decision here.
I wonder if he's going to just more or less, do exactly what he did before. Obviously, maybe like skip some of the checks that he knows weren't anything. Or maybe he does something a little different, like check Croc and see if maybe that holds Varia.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously, anytime that you have a situation where gravity, lower Norfair is on the table in this, even if you die, you got to assume you got to, keep trying because it's no guarantee that your opponent didn't do the same thing, But I don't know, man. That's a good question. I don't know what I would do.
I like the strat from Osse being in that little morph tunnel just enough to have the Moctroid drain the damage, but it won't be able to release, so you can just kind of roll out and not have to worry about it. I've never seen anyone do that. That's pretty cool.
I appreciate him sparing us, getting us to 39, and we don't have to listen to beeping. Dude, look at
First try.
This guy's crystal flash skills in these two games have been unparalleled.
That was a sick grapple farm through the ceiling, by the way.
Botwoon gonna be Botwoon.
Nicely done. Putting that last super on him.
Gotta love that Botwoon gives 0 supers as well. Standard.
So Osse coming up to the Dragon fight now. It'll be more or less like azder's first fight with Dragon. Having the grapple beam, he can set up for that quick grapple, or just let Dragon drag him up to the ceiling and get the grapple kill that way.
Oh no, man! He's got to do the starter charge pea shooter fight. Come on, man. Dragon's got what, 6,000 health? Is that right?
Yeah, 6,000.
Starter charge would do 30 damage. Let's imagine you literally only did charge shots here. So that would be what, 200 charge shots on Dragon? Oh boy.
Yeah, something like that. You really got to appreciate, even with the nerf charge beam, the SBAs and the pseudo screwing still do the full damage.
For sure.
So I feel like there's a lot of opportunity to see, we haven't really seen it much in this, but throughout the tournament, we see people X-factoring Mother Brain or doing the spacer SBAs on Mother Brain and stuff like that, or pseudo screwing during this fight. And nice quick grapple kill by Osse.
Yeah, that was really well
Very
done.
quick.
What does this end up being? Plasma, that's right.
Yeah, so without ammo, that'll be 120 shot Mother Brain fight, which is pretty long, but he'll have a little bit of ammo at least, so it shouldn't be too draining of a fight.
Is it just me, Sloters, or do you feel like I do? I feel like when you just have plasma, the charged plasma shots are so weird. Like it's just this little tiny straight line. Like I don't know what it is about it, but I just don't like it, and it always feels awkward.
I can't say I feel the same way, but I guess I could see. I think that they kind of look like the French fries from the Pirates and Mother Brain.
I think they look like toothpaste. I don't know why. It just looks like toothpaste coming out of a toothpaste tube. But it's so tiny. The hitbox on it is so small. It's like I hate fighting Ridley with it. And Mother Brain's not as bad, but it's still not the greatest. I was literally about to say, one thing I hate about having space jump in Lower Norfair, or excuse me, in Meridia, is it makes it hard to do certain strats from low percent, like when you need to mock ball. And then Osse literally demonstrated it because the cooldown is so fast, it's almost impossible to like not jump twice accidentally. Well, what do you think we're going to find down here at Waterway, Sloters?
I really hope it's Spring Ball because we're losing on opportunities to find it. Gosh darn it, it's an E-Tank. Well,
I was going to guess Spazer.
I wonder if Osse will do a gauntlet check here. Really, the only things that could help him are ice and speed to do that Zeb skip and help with the Metroids. Or charge beam, of course, would give some more DPS. And it looks like he is heading that direction. I suppose, too, finding some super missiles at the end of Gauntlet could also be pretty beneficial for him. So good idea, I think, to do this. Oh, look at that, it is charge.
Wow.
And gets that super.
Well, you know, now that I think about it, I actually kind of like this play because, and you might have said this, I didn't quite hear everything that you said right there, Dan, I'm sorry, but he doesn't have a way to do a Zeb skip, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So having an extra super pack really is not bad there. He's going to be forced to use a good bit of ammo there.
An interesting azder he picked up the gravity suit from the speed booster location. I think he passed on Meridia entirely and went to check Waterway, like you said, but now he's up in Rex ship, so doing things a little bit differently this time around. And yeah, unfortunately, without Ice Beam, Osse will be forced to powerbomb the Metroids, which is considerably slower. I didn't see the first room if he knows. I wouldn't be surprised if he knows the like optimal strats through here to like hit them when they're off screen or whatever. Yeah, I think he's doing that right now, actually. And without Speed Booster, Osse, I think you can technically pull off Baby Skip like this with just high jump, but with no Wave Beam, he's going to have to shoot the vines a lot, plus it's much trickier than the regular Baby Skips with high jump and speed, so he won't bother going for it. Damage himself down on this side hopper to make this little Metroid draining cutscene as fast as possible.
Yeah, I'm not issuing this as a personal challenge to SM runners out there, but I have personally never seen anyone skip baby in a randomizer without high jump boots and speed booster. Obviously, we know it can be done. I mean, I think you can even technically do it in like low percent. But I have not personally seen anyone do it. So I usually just expect that if they don't have those two items, that we're not going to see a baby skip. But I would love for someone to show it to me.
Yeah, it's kind of a legend, that I've heard about over the years through randomizer commentary and whatnot. So I'd kind of like to see, someone take on that challenge.
Optimally here, this is actually something I believe I learned from azder. 2 missiles and 3 supers is the fastest way on here and the most efficient with your ammo. It always makes me think, I don't know about you, Slutters, I know you're a good bit younger than me, but I grew up playing all the old, like I actually, my family owned NES Metroid when I was a kid. And every time I'm forced to use ammo on the Zebs there, like I have flashbacks to like the old games when I was young. Oh, look at this. We got some SPA going on here. That's funny.
I never thought in my day I would see someone using the plasma SBA in any kind of situation in this game, but I mean, I guess, he has charge, so it's not as useful since his beam shots are actually relatively powerful, but it's cool to see.
Yeah, to answer Duck's question in chat, he already had starter charge. You might not be familiar with the dash changes, so he was not going to be soft locked no matter what. Even if he didn't find charge beam at Gauntlet, he still would have been able to finish the fight. It just would have been a lot slower. Osse making sure Mother Brain has fresh breath with that insane amount of toothpaste he just shot straight into her mouth. Well, Polar Bear Bunny, I would have said it was cool yesterday, but I couldn't say anything because I was literally running at the time, so I feel your pain. I didn't actually see. Did he check what was it? Did azder check what was it Rex Ship Reserve?
I was about to say I didn't catch him doing that, so this might just be a blind check. I can't imagine, if what he would saw there that is making him go this way.
It's got to be Spring Ball, right?
Yeah, a Spring Ball, right? Like, what? Of course, you gotta go get it.
Even better.
So obviously, with only charge and plasma, not going to be the strongest beam you can use for stand-up, so obviously won't shave too many shots off the Mother Brain 3, but it'll make a little bit of a difference. And he is through that fight now, and he is one escape sequence away from finishing this one and taking game 2.
So we're going to have a game 3 for the finals. That's pretty hype. This was a good race. A very good race. I really would have loved to see it finish had azder been able to pull through that Ridley fight. Unfortunately got a little trolled at the end by some of Ridley's grab attempts. But it's very hard to say. I still think Osse probably had enough leeway to maintain a lead, but still very difficult to say without seeing them both finish. But either way, Osse will finish in first place here, barring some kind of crazy like power outage or something. And before you laugh, we've actually seen that before. So we will be going to a game 3 here shortly, and we will be able to crown a first and second place winner of the Super Metroid Randomizer tournament at SG Live 2020.
Yeah, the pro strat here is to only do your tournament races while you have a generator running and plenty of fuel inside, so you don't risk that power out situation happening, which I'm sure both these guys are doing given the circumstances.
That is a great point, Sloters. And obviously, I don't think this kind of thing would really bother him too much, but mind frame can be important. This is going to be Asher's first loss in Super Metroid of this entire tournament. No, I take that back. It's not, because he had one loss against Osse. It's actually Osse who hasn't lost until last match. So anyway, we're going to be going into the final match here, both 1-1, and it should be a lot of fun. So, Sloters, before we take a quick break, anything you want to say to wrap this one up?
I'll just say GG to both of them. They've both done great so far in the first 2 games. Especially game 1 was probably more than we could have ever asked for, and I'm super excited to see what happens in game 3.
Me too. So, ladies and gentlemen, y'all stick around, and don't forget, after this match is over, we will also be having our Super Metroid Dab tournament finals between Andrew and Derp, which will be a whole lot of fun. If you've never seen a double anti-bingo, trust me, it is worth a watch. And so we'll be right back for game number 3 of our final match. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and we should be starting this race fairly soon. This is game number 3 of the final match of the Super Metroid Randomizer tournament for SG Live 2020 between two dashing runners, azder and Osse. I'll just go ahead and apologize up front. I had to do it. Splitters, you ready for a good final race here?
Absolutely. Just to recap a little bit with game 1 and 2. Game 1, a 14-second difference. We saw a lot of the similar things from both runners. Kind of an execution battle towards the end as we got to go mode. Game 2, a little unclear on who was ahead. But unfortunately, azder taking a death during the Ridley fight, which set him back and ultimately led to Osse taking game 2. So here we are in best of 3, game 3 of the finals. And this is going to be a great match, I think.
I'm pumped. The first 2 were great. And let's see what we got in store.
And they are off.
And already we see my favorite thing about randomizers of all kinds. You don't have to do series. Gotta love it. All right, let's see this time if we can get a seed that doesn't have regular bombs at the beginning and has a power bomb instead. And then we'll see if we have any divergence here. Do you run the, I don't know what to call the route. I've heard it called meme route, but like some people find that offensive. Because it's not really a meme, but like whatever the route is, the Green Hills route, if it's available to you, do you typically run it, Sloters?
You know, I've been back and forth about it over the past couple of years. If I get an E-tank and I get a power bomb, usually I like to do it, especially if I also find a super pack somewhere in Retro Brinstar here. So yeah, it's sort of circumstantial depending on the stuff that I find in Blue Brin.
All right, tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, you're all here. I'm going to go ahead in front of everyone, and we're going to give this route a new name. Since I've been calling it Green Hills route, from now on, we're going to call it Sonic route. How about that?
I call it meme route, reverse Brinstar or whatever, but I like Sonic route. That's a good one.
Oh, baby, high jump boots. Let's go.
It's a little ironic sometimes seeing like high jump or space jump up there being like the item that would let you get up there without the D boost.
Exactly. Well, it is faster, Bach 1. That's part of the reason I wanted to go with that. But it looks like we are not getting a power bomb early, which means that our bomb Chorizo item is going to be either bombs, screw attack, or speed booster.
This room is always incredibly awkward. With high jump boots, you feel like you're jumping in like 0G. So many of us are used to, especially if you like reset a lot, doing this room over and over again without most of the equipment.
Yeah, here in a minute when they do Alcatraz, it's going to be a nightmare.
Screw attack.
Ooh, fascinating.
That is an interesting item to get at this point. Maybe less so without the bombs, as screw attack makes a trip in the gauntlet right now not too terribly difficult, but of course without any sort of bomb, they won't be able to go through all the way. If they do want to keep the item that's there, they'd have to run all the way back out. It looks like Osse electing not to go check gauntlet.
Look at these guys.
And in the same.
That would have taken me like 8 tries to get that Alcatraz. Oh, Ice Beam early. How about that?
They're professionals. They know what they're doing. Another super pack. No power bombs yet. And a reserve tank. I was going to say, it's kind of weird when you don't find E-tanks early on and you're kind of at this stage with 0, and a reserve tank, kind of like an E-tank, but not really. And Osse using that nice little trick, being able to screw attack that block and check the miner. Unfortunately, just a missile pack, not what he was looking for. But if that were a power bomb pack, that could have interesting implications, like it did in my race with him.
That's a good point. Speaking of reserve tanks, we're always kind of trying to figure out new ways of making different changes to the items. That's part of kind of the spirit of what Dash is, and we don't know if they're always going to work or if they're going to be, actually interesting or not. But we saw some people the other day talking about different ways to get temporary gravity suits, like having the reserve tanks, quote unquote, holding like, I don't know, air, even though that doesn't really work the same way gravity does, since you can still technically breathe underwater. But that's something we're actually going to probably test out at some point to see if we can convert energy into like temporary gravity suit, just to see if it could be something that can be balanced. But you never know. It could work out, it might not. But that'll probably be something we try to add in the future just to test out.
Something to note, since we do not have regular bombs in this seed so far, being cognizant of your power bomb count is pretty important. There's a few decent places you can refill, like right before that Edakuni tank item from those B-toms. There can certainly be situations if you misuse your power bombs or you do a lot of checks where you might be short somewhere. Fortunately, this rando has a lot of soft block prevention, where some bomb blocks are changed to shot blocks to sort of prevent early soft blocks like that, but it is something to consider early on in these seeds.
This is another room where it's really nice to have that early high jump boots. Makes that trick a lot easier. Unless I'm mistaken, we don't really currently have a way to get to wreck ship, do we? Like, I mean, I know technically you can CWJ, but in terms of like what people would actually try to do, it would, in my opinion, be a pretty, I wouldn't call it stupid, but it would just be a very non-standard move to try to go up with this item set simply to turn off high jump boots and then try to do a CWJ exclusively. So, what do you think, Sloters?
Yeah, I mean, you know, for me, when I do find high jump, that's a lot of incentive to go down. I think we kind of mentioned in game one, having high jump can make sections of lower Norfair a lot easier or just kind of possible or realistic to do. Also, if Suitless Meridia is somehow a part of the equation, having high jump and going down there can be very beneficial. But yeah, going to wreck or heading to wreck ship right now, and your only option being CWJ, can be kind of a sketchy situation, and you might lose a lot of time having to set that up over and over again.
For sure.
And interesting, I don't think anyone has done an early X-ray check so far in these 3 games. Maybe I'm wrong and I wasn't paying attention, but we'll get to see cool little D-boosting here from Osse to get across.
I don't think X-ray's been checked at all yet.
Yeah, I can't think of a time where we saw it.
I gotta say, well, actually, I take that back because he had Ice Beam. But I was gonna say, a lot of times I don't feel comfortable making that check, doing the early X-ray unless I've got like bombs or Spring Ball in case I miss. But he did have ice and high jump boots, so he was fine. But that was a really good job. And he does technically now have, you know, officially wreck ship access, so he could choose to go up with his grapple beam, create some level of divergence. He probably knows that azder, you know, had to go down too and maybe didn't do this early X-ray check. So I don't know why he could just grapple beam out.
He also has a very nice loadout for Suitless Meridia, so maybe chat might get a little excited about that. I feel like I mentioned Suitless Meridia a lot. I don't know why. It's very relaxing for me. I like to see people go through there.
Yeah, personally, I like Suitless Seeds. I think they're pretty fun. Oh my goodness.
Well, my dreams have been dashed. Sorry, everyone.
I'm gonna disagree with the idea in chat. I've been repping grapple. I disagree that grapple is useless now. In fact, I think it might be even more useful than ever, depending on where Varia is. If Varia is in an out of the way location, having that grapple beam can be a big time saver in lower Norfair. In fact, you know, I'm not harping on him, and at the same time, you know, everybody's got to make their choices. But last match, right before azder went in, I noticed that he didn't, you know, use grapple to get extra supers, and I thought that made the fight a lot more dangerous. And so it could have been the difference between winning, you know, or dying and not dying, which could have put him potentially in the race. So I don't know. It's hard to say. But I would feel very nice about having grapple there once I see gravity. But it could be, you know, it could be not very useful if you end up seeing Varia in an easy to find location.
You know, this is looking a lot like game one right now. Both of them heading down. So far, azder finding gravity and having that ice beam. He is ready to head into Meridia. And I think he's skipping Mama Turtle. Is this, are we watching game one again, or?
Yeah, this is kind of weird. We haven't seen this play very much. Yeah, I think maybe people who haven't watched a lot of Dash might be surprised at how important grapple actually can be, given what is possible in this randomizer. But we'll see. We'll see if it ends up making a difference. Yeah, Polar Bear Bunny making a good point. However, it was actually grapple that kind of got Osse back in the game. The primary reason Osse ended up losing that was because of other things that had happened prior and a few other checks. But in particular, I think that Botwin fight ended up being the primary difference. But hopefully, well, azder did not farm up here. So let's see what happens with this fight, as I was mentioning it. And also getting the worst opening pattern, which is terrible. He's doing 60 damage per charge shot here.
You know, this is one of the few times where I'd probably willingly say out loud, man, I'm glad I have Spacer right now.
Yeah, that's true.
Trying to snipe shots on Botwin can be pretty difficult, especially when you get to the later rounds where he's moving a bit quicker.
Dude, Osse's going to Meridia too. I am legitimately intrigued here. I'm not saying I think it's like a bad play. I just did not expect to see both of these guys do it twice in this match.
I'm kind of impressed how fast azder got through those morph tunnels with the high jump boots. That's kind of a tricky thing to do. He was doing some wall jumps into automorphs, which some people find easier. I kind of do that sometimes too.
Once again, yeah, good point in chat here. That grapple beam, if they're going to go the same route, this grapple beam is going to make a huge difference potentially in this fight here. Even if azder does, he does have a decent number of supers already. Even if he's able to unload a lot of supers into Dragon and make the fight go by somewhat quickly, being able to go faster and save some supers is going to be nice for Osse here.
I like this decision by azder to, well, okay, I was going to say he's leaving those turrets up to conserve on supers, but looks like maybe changed his mind a little bit.
Osse only finding a missile and power bomb this time, but he's in much better shape than azder was in terms of his miners at the moment, heading into Botwin. So I would assume, unless he just has a complete tragedy, that he will save a significant amount of time here. What we're seeing is like, I do in theory understand, and I don't disagree, that coming to Meridia first in these circumstances where you find gravity quickly offers opportunity to have like potential lower Norfair hell runs be a little faster. The only problem I have with it is if you come into Meridia with not very many other items, some of these fights like Botwin and Dragon you can get punished so heavily. Like in the context of like most randomizer fights where you fight Dragon later, this is way slower. But the flip side is if you find some, nice item behind Dragon or something, this could end up saving some time down the line. So we'll just have to wait and see. Please don't die to Dragon.
You know, I feel like this is something we're kind of not used to seeing, because I think like league settings weren't really like this, but I think with Total's logic, gravity like wouldn't turn up in a lot of the early like Brinstar locations. So like
Correct.
oftentimes, you know, you wouldn't find it until you're in Wrecked Ship or like Norfair, so it just wouldn't really like happen as often.
That's
But
a great point. And that's part of the reason we removed that restriction on Brinstar. Is, you know, to allow there to be more opportunity to have gravity earlier. So again, I don't dislike the play to go to Meridia earlier. It's just that, you know, every play that you make has potential for certain good things and certain drawbacks. Unfortunately, this particular situation, I think, has ended up being maybe a little bit slower than it could have potentially have been.
I don't know about you, but I kind of hate getting gravity in randomizers like early on, because I mean, even in Dash 2, because it makes Upper Norfair like more enticing with the hell runs, but it kind of puts like a lot of stuff into logic where like Varia or something important can be like, oh man, I can like do all this Meridia stuff, like, you know, I can get to Wreck Ship easily with the grab jump or whatever. Like, it's kind of stressful getting a really powerful item that early in the game for
No,
me.
I agree with you for sure. So, I mean, I feel similarly about Varia. Like, usually you feel good about it, but then depending on where a lot of the other items are and where you are, you know, like let's say you get to where you can go to Lower Norfair with High Jump Bootless Lava Dive, like it sounds like it's always going to be a good idea, but sometimes it can be, you know, it can turn out to be not the greatest result. So Azder making his way to the sand pit, looks like Osse was able to, he didn't get the quick kill, but he didn't have to spend too much time before using the grapple. Osse was able to pick up quite a bit of time between Botwoon and Dragon currently on Azder. However, they're still technically taking the same path, and Azder is in the lead. And if they are able to find Varia, that grapple beam will most likely lose some of its extra utility that Osse could take advantage of. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I just noticed Azder only has 5 missiles right now. I don't know if he's been actively avoiding them or it's just the consequence of, you know, skipping like some things here and there. But that's not a lot to have right now.
No, I don't think he skipped anything. Like, I don't think he's purposely avoided any. I think it's just kind of worked out that way for the moment. But yeah, 5 is kind of awkward, to be honest. Oh, look at this. I gotta say, I think this is a pretty big brain play. I like it. I like what Azder's doing here. I don't know, like I'm not in his mind, so I can't say for sure what all is the thought process here. However, I do think that if he is thinking that, you know, hey, I just had 2 really slow fights, that's probably not good for me, especially if I end up turning a blank in Meridia. I have no, you know, he has no idea if Osse's going Meridia too. So this could be a way, like let's say Varia's down here or maybe even Charge. This could be a way to make a really big play to get some significant edge. Unfortunately, that was literally the worst thing he could find.
Yeah, I mean, we still have Shack Tool. I don't know how comfortable Azder is with the ice clip. I'm sure he can do it. I'm just not really sure on like the confidence level with this kind of equipment. But that could be the other thing that sort of makes this early Meridia worth it if they can get something good out of old Shacky boy.
Having a little bit of trouble here killing the pirates. This is another reason why the plasma check can be a little bit awkward. He's going to have to make a wall jump there. He finally got it. And looks like Osse has checked the energy tank. Now, the real question is Osse going to do something similar? Does Osse feel the need to continue looking, or is he just going to be like, hey, I'm going to take what I've got so far and head to Norfair and see what happens? looks like he is going to head out of Meridia. I still really honestly, I do not hate that play by azder, especially like he has no idea that they did similar paths, but especially given how much time he lost on the fights, that would have been a like if he'd have hit there on something really huge, that could have been a really big game changer. So unfortunately, he didn't find anything for him. This now kind of gives Osse a little more leeway, but we'll see what happens from here on forward in Norfair.
I'll say too, just like kind of with the meta of playing logic like this for the past few years, I feel like Plasma and Shack are like the two least checked things. Like usually if someone's checking them, it's because like they're running out of stuff to check. So if you do like pull something really nice out of that and you do a check like that really early, like usually that's like GG right there. It's very rare for both players to like say, yeah, I'm definitely gonna go check Plasma and Shack right now before all this other stuff that we normally check first.
And that's something Asher's done. Literally the last game, the literal last game of Randomizer Season 2, where he and I played in the finals, I died in the first race. I think I was ahead, but it was probably pretty close. There's no telling who would have ended up winning, but I died at a chain damage to Dragon. Match number 2, he checked Shacktool faster than any other player I've ever seen in any race ever, basically, of any randomizer, and found Varia, and the game was literally over like 15 minutes in. I didn't even, like, he ended up finishing the entire seed before I even made it to Torian. So, to your point, when you do hit in some of those spots, it's almost like you just won the whole thing. I will say, in this case, even if he had found Varia, would have been a very huge advantage. However, with the changes to the gravity suit, it would not have been absolutely guaranteed exactly what happened. I don't know how you can say that's an exaggeration. There was, I think you would need to go back and watch the race to come to a different conclusion that the game was over as soon as that happened. But yeah, to your point, like if you check one of those items that early and hit, it's going to be incredibly difficult for your opponent to do anything to get back in the race. Yeah, I could be mistaken. I'm pretty sure in that race, azder went to Shacktool before even going to Norfair. So it was very early, like very early in the race.
Ooh, and space jumps. We've been seeing a lot of movement items. That's definitely nice to see. We'll get almost high five. Osse at the farming station as azder goes into the speed booster hallway. He'll pick up his space jump as well. But we're running out of locations before any big decisions are made on where to go next.
Yeah, Osse's got some great supers, and so does azder, which is really nice here. I'm just really interested to see what they find in the rest of Bubble Mountain, to see what kind of decisions they've got. Osse's in the lead. Oh, okay.
Oh,
yeah, okay, that's big. That's a big deal.
so that is really going to be go mode for Osse. Probably going to make a couple more checks here and there that are quick, maybe like behind Ridley or Firefly and stuff like that. Of course, with only Ice and Spacer and the starter charge, not gonna have a lot of DPS against the bosses, so maybe um, searching out supers a little bit. But they, have everything they need to beat the game. And azder not going down to wave, he could be saving that for the way out of Lower Norfair. It looks like he's headed in that direction.
Oh man. And even though he can definitely pull this off, it's going to be slower than Osse's is by a pretty significant amount. Obviously, the Varia makes the most difference, and then also, let's imagine he doesn't find any more firepower. Like again, I think in almost every circumstance, if you don't have full charge beam, if you're trying to hell run in this dash situation, you probably need to get to full supers. And so it's going to take him probably just a little bit longer on average to farm. So yeah, this is looking pretty good for Osse at the moment. Obviously, there's a lot of things that can still happen, but in this circumstance, it's going to be a lot harder for azder to find ways to get back in this particular race.
Yeah, best case scenario here for azder is he finds an E-tank at Firefly, and then also has an E-tank behind Ridley, and basically has to do like no farming and just kind of be a little careful not to take like extra damage here and there. But if he does find E-tanks in those two spots, he won't be slowed down too much. Now he's probably going to need to get up to enough ammo to Crystal Flash on the way out if he feels he doesn't have enough energy. But we'll see with what items we find at Firefly and Ridley's E-tank.
A wonderful find there. That's also going to be very, very good for azder. That super missile at... Oh, that's also actually a good thing for azder's current predicament, or situation, I guess would be a better word. Obviously, he doesn't know that he's behind and that Osse has Varia, but him finding Plasma there and also an extra super pack will make it much more likely that he can get through that Ridley fight quickly and avoid any kind of death situation. I like what Osse's doing here. I did this in my first game last night. He had enough supers to unload all supers and then fire like 12 regular missiles. He opted to instead fire some extra ones so that he can... well, turns out he didn't end up doing that. Maybe I'm doing a miscount, but I think he fired a few extra missiles. He could have actually saved a couple of those supers there. But either way, it doesn't matter. He got through the fight very quickly. And some decent drops there from Ridley. And let's see what we got behind Ridley. Just bombs.
Yeah, that's going to be bad news for azder then. So he'll be not at full health after the Ridley fight, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's true. The good news is that both runners have the screw attack, and will be able to pretty easily get through the escape in terms of just, not taking damage from key hunters and whatnot. So that's good for both of them, in particular for azder, since he's going to be, having a little bit tighter. Well, a lot tighter, considering that Osse has Very, but he'll have a somewhat tight situation with the Hell Run on the way out, but that should be alleviated a good bit by having that screw attack. And we are seeing here, if we could actually count the amount of time that took versus having grapple, it would have been quite a bit, as azder farmed up for the Ridley fight. In most circumstances, though, as always, that's probably not going to be the difference in a race, but you just never know, especially when you got two runners as good as these guys. azder in really good control of this fight so far, even though Ridley did, it's not really great when Ridley jumps up like that. In this type of circumstance, you prefer for him to kind of keep pogoing. But so far, azder has handled it really well. Just going to let him get turned left and then jump right in that claw. Nicely done. Hopefully he gets lots of supers. Unfortunately, I only got 2. He's definitely going to want to get at least to 10 so that he can Crystal Flash on the way out. He's also going to want to farm several more power bombs. I think, is it 13? It's either 12 or 13 minimum that you need to get out with a Crystal Flash. Do you remember what it is?
No, with screw attack, well, he has regular bombs, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, it's probably like 13 because you got Wasteland, and then yeah, that sounds right.
So he's going to be stuck here farming for at least a little bit because he's not going to have enough energy to get out. He also can't, since he doesn't have speed booster, he can't really run to the metal pirates. I'm not sure what he's doing right here. Actually, you know what? This is kind of a neat play. It might actually be faster to farm this way in this particular circumstance for him, or at least safer, probably. And those Holts certainly have a chance to drop supers. So actually, I think that's a cool play. I like that. He needs to remember not to drop a power bomb on the way out of here, other than right here. This is the only power bomb he can drop. So everything else needs to be a regular bomb. He's probably going to Crystal Flash. My guess would be at the bottom of this next room up here. Yeah, he's in good shape.
I'm glad he didn't Crystal Flash either in that little tunnel or right after he got out, because when those blocks reform, they can get you out of position. I may have had that happen before.
Yeah, so luckily, again, you can just kind of, if you're not paying attention, you can go on autopilot and drop a power bomb right there like you normally would to get out for speed. Good job there being aware, getting himself in the right position, and he should be totally safe. To be honest, I'm very impressed with, given his circumstance, I think he performed very well in Lower Norfair and did it with about as much speed as you could with his item set and number of miners and all that. The problem, though, as we pointed out before we even got down here, is no matter how well he performs in that circumstance, it's still going to lose a good bit of time to Osse. So as we can see, Osse is pulled into a pretty commanding lead here. Nice fight by Osse. Great use of spring ball there by Osse on the way out, and he's in go mode. He's just gonna keep on rolling here. Slutters, I'd be interested to time out, just, for future knowledge, and again, it depends on drops and stuff, but I'd be interested to time out what that lower Norfair difference was between the two runners. I gotta assume it was at least somewhere between 2 and 3 minutes. What do you think?
You mean for this game?
For this particular game, yeah, with their, because they basically have identical item sets, except for, Osse had various, so he didn't have to slow down. So this is where Osse has picked up the most time, other than that plasma check. I gotta assume it was probably at least 2 or 3.
Yeah, he probably spent a minute doing the farm before Ridley, and probably another minute, or maybe a little more after. So that probably sounds about right, because otherwise their movement was pretty similar through most rooms. Azder having to do 2 crystal flashes too, so that sounds about right.
Yeah, and that's something that I have mentioned before. I mean, no one enjoys, losing a race. But at the same time, I think it's a little bit easier to swallow if you still feel like you executed well, like at least on the micro. I mean, sometimes your decision-making just doesn't work out. But I really do think both players have played, like micro-wise, execution on strats, very, very well in this game number 3.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously the decision making didn't work out for Azder this time around, but I mean that's Randomizer in a nutshell. If Varia hadn't been there, then that would have been a very good time save for him, not even bothering checking that item. And him skipping like Mama Turtle, in the times he's been in Meridia, like that was not negligible difference in game 1 that could have swung that game in Osse's favor. So I respect skipping stuff like that. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. And unfortunately, this time it just didn't work out for Azder's favor.
Yep, that's true. Fantoon not being overly kind. So far, Osse having a really fantastic Torian. We got to we got to see some cool spring ball tech in some of those rooms. And I guess at this point, he's going to ignore my challenge and opt to get damaged by the baby and not attempt a high jump boot plus speed booster less baby skip. You know what would have been really fascinating? Like, Azder would have basically probably won the game had Varia been at Plasma right there. But what I think would have been more interesting would have been, like, if Speed Booster had been there. How much time would he be able to get back versus the time investment that it took to go get it? But unfortunately, you can't go back in time and replay things.
Yeah, speed's definitely a powerful item, and when you pair it with the other movement items, it can definitely give you a lot of time back. Of course, it kind of depends what stage of the game you're at. Them already being done with Meridia, kind of sped up the Dragon fight and whatnot. But yeah, it's hard to say.
Yeah, I can't. Sorry, guys. I don't play on SNES Classic.
And there's the catch-up phase for Osse. That should be, trying to do math in my head, I think like 30 charge shots or something from there. So he'll be wrapping up the fight soon. Kind of assuming he's gonna, go for stand-up anyways, considering doesn't know where the opponent is, and save a few seconds with it.
It looks like he's not going to. It's interesting. I don't know how Osse feels, because with this particular seed, it's very obvious that if someone had taken the more traditional Norfair route here, instead of going Meridia second, then they would have absolutely beasted this seed. They'd probably be done minutes ago, because they would have had not only like way more efficient routing, but also a much quicker time in Meridia. But well, not too much quicker, but at least a little bit quicker, because they probably would have had more supers, and also having that extra plasma is pretty nice. But at the same time, he doesn't know that he and azder did similar things. So we sit here and we know that he's pretty comfortably ahead, but he knows in his head that if azder went down to Norfair first, it would probably be over here pretty soon. Of course, then again, if they went down there first, they'd probably already be done by now. So maybe he's thinking, I'm doing okay here. Well, let's do a quick little run through history. Last year was the first SG Live 2019. Osse was one of the only Super Metroid players there. I think we had less than 10 people there that Super Metroid was our primary game. I was also there, and Osse was the #1 seed in the Link to the Past randomizer tournament. I think he made it all the way to the Final Four, if I recall correctly. And he was also in both of the Super Metroid tournaments, Any Percent and Dab. He ended up getting second place in both, had a really fantastic performance. And now this year, he is going to be, barring something weird on the escape here, the first champion of one of our 3 tournaments, and he has had a fantastic tournament. His path was, I can't remember who he played in the first round. I'll have to go back and look. I think he got a second round win by default because of a forfeit, and then he defeated Sloters here in the semis, and then azder here. So he had some really, really stiff competition and played really well. So excellent job to him on a great tournament.
I absolutely agree. He has done a lot of great things in the SM community. He's put up some really good times. Obviously is very competent at the randomizer. It's been really great to watch him progress and play in these tournaments and be a part of our community.
I wholeheartedly agree. Both of these guys would have been completely worthy champions, and both have had some really good performances in this tournament. Not only just in this match, but just a lot of their other races. I'd highly recommend going back and watching the, in particular, the Zeus versus azder match was very, very good. But yeah, it's going to go to Osse today, and congratulations to him. What's his final time going to be there, Sloters?
Let me pull up the race time GG. As Osse comes up to the ship, he will finish with an official time of 47 minutes and 35 seconds. GG to Osse, and congratulations on winning the tournament. Reminder that we do have the DAB tournament finals coming up right after this is over. We might have the runners come in just for a short interview, so to not keep the DAB runners waiting, but we'll see if we can get someone to come in here.
I think this is the I believe this is the very first final. I think someone was saying that earlier, of this entire SG Live.
Yeah, I heard someone say that.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I think I heard someone say that too earlier. I think you're right.
Yeah, so that's exciting. So congratulations to Osse on being the very first champion of a tournament here at the event. And I believe he is still alive in at least one other tournament. I will have to apologize. I've been so inundated with Super Metroid stuff, I have not really had much of a chance to keep up with the brackets of all the other tournaments. But I do think he's still in the running, as well as azder, if I recall correctly, for some other tournaments. So both of these guys have really been like totally killing it in this entire event, not only this tournament specifically, but this entire event. So really got to give a lot of love and respect to both of these guys, not only for their performance here, but in their other games as well. And honestly, that's one of the most impressive things about both these players, in my opinion. They're really good Super Metroid players, but they're very good at other stuff too. And it's not easy to be a top-level player at several different games. So really good job to both of these guys.
Absolutely. And azder, seeing the dot done in race time, still electing to finish his run, are pretty much at the end. So as tradition, usually people will run it out till the end. He just has a few more rooms of the escape, and he will officially be done with the seed.
I will admit that there's a big part of me that loves seeing the quote-unquote like speed boosterless or whatever. Like I almost said low percent, but you have high jump boots. I like seeing the speed boosterless escapes. My low percent background kind of makes that special for me. So kind of neat to see there. And azder is going to finish here shortly with an official GG time of Sloters. I'll let you do the honors when he gets on the ship here.
Sure thing. As azder enters the ship for the last time, he will finish with an official time of 51 minutes and 33 seconds. GG to azder, and congrats on an excellent tournament, finishing in second place.
And we are now joined by Osse, our champion of this Super Metroid Randomizer tournament. Osse, you had a fantastic match with azder here. I can't say enough great things about a lot of the things you did here in terms of execution. So I'll just turn it over to you. Tell us a little bit about how you felt about the races and how you feel about being the first champion of a tournament at SG Live 2020.
Oh, the races were all fantastic. Like coming into this, it's hard to like really pre-plan a route or what to do. So just feeling it out. Each race was wildly different. Did a different set of tricks each time, and going through the list of tricks that I know, just feels good to be able to do in a race setting. And I finally got my first place in SG Live Super Metroid Tournament. No second place this time.
Yeah, last year, you and I got a good chance to hang out pretty extensively at last year's event, which I had a really good time hanging out with you, and we talked a lot about Super Metroid and other stuff. And I mentioned on stream you got 2 second places last year. This year, not only did you get first, but I really need to give you a lot of credit because this year's field was significantly more competitive just because of the fact that since it wasn't in person, like almost everybody in the community could make it to this. So I really got to give you big kudos, man. You defeated some extremely tough competition to win. And obviously we're all friends, but it's got to feel good to defeat some of the biggest names, in Super Metroid community like Sloters and azder and whatnot. So just tell me how you're feeling, about being in competitions like this with some of these really, really strong runners.
I don't know. It's tough. You really gotta just like find a way to win, like even if you're at a disadvantage. So you gotta make some risky skips, and then in the end, you gotta win, and just feeling great about it.
Excellent. Sloters, you got any questions for us here?
I'll ask one thing. I know you said it's kind of hard to plan around matches like this. Being the finals match and having an opponent like azder, is there any like particular thing you have in mind? Like you want to try to maybe match the route he's doing, or maybe try to do something different from what you think he would do, or you just kind of stick to your same approach as if you were playing like anyone one-on-one? Is there anything special you had to consider with that?
Yeah, so one thing I did do was not do the early x-ray check a couple times. It's because I think azder wouldn't do it, and that's something he might skip, expecting me to do. And also, I kind of tried to defend against wreck ship first. Like that time I had early access to it, or easy access to it. Tried to escape aggressively, like the way I think azder would.
Yes, and you did a great job in all 3 races of planning out, doing different things. And we're also joined by azder, who finishes in 2nd place for this tournament, which is an excellent performance, and had some fantastic races throughout the whole thing. So azder, I know it's never fun, to make it to the championship and finish in 2nd. But you should be very proud of yourself. You had just an absolutely fantastic tournament. Tell us a little bit about how you felt about the races tonight against Osse.
So tonight was interesting because I felt like Osse was one of the more likely players to play similarly to me, or to understand the kind of plays that I would make. And so it was going to be tougher to feel confident that some of the skips I made would like actually counter things that he would do. So it was just really hard to tell what would happen.
Well, y'all had the first race in particular, like all 3 were very good. I feel really bad about the death in game 2 because It was still very much, kind of up in the air who would have won. But game one in particular was just really fascinating. Like, I really hope you guys go back and watch it. I don't know if y'all, I know you just finished, you're probably a little on adrenaline. It's kind of hard to remember everything, but can either one of y'all talk a little bit about some of the decisions you made in game one? Y'all both ended up doing Meridia early, which ended up being really fascinating. Y'all actually kind of followed each other around for a good portion of that. So just either one of you walk us through a little bit about, some of the things y'all did tonight, especially in that game one.
I can't remember. I might need a minute.
Yeah, I remember it being like a really great race to run. Like early on, I was pretty low on ammo, and like ended up checking a lot of miners. I felt, and like doing that, and the Batuan fight and the Dragon fight all felt like really slow, and so I felt like I was falling behind there. Interestingly enough, like all three of these seeds, like I thought about snail clipping to Aqueduct, and I feel that's not something you commonly do in Dash.
I actually did that in the first 2 games, and I got double supers the first time, I think, and the second time it was missile and power bomb, and it was really bad. But first time it paid off.
Well, before I forget, I do need to mention something, and it's funny how this happens. Osse, in my opinion, the singular play of this entire match came from you, ironically, in the game that you lost. I really want to know if you have some kind of trick or if this was just you got, really fortunate, but you were going for a Crystal Flash on the way out from Lower Norfair. Somehow the power bomb jumped you to like, a different X position pixel or whatever. And everybody was like, oh my God, he's about to die. And then you got back exactly where you needed to be in Crystal Flash and everybody went crazy. No, like, is that easier to do than I'm thinking, or was that just sort of like, it just worked out?
I should have died. 100% should have died.
That's super lucky. I've had something like that in a race against Toasty before.
Yeah, that was really exciting to see.
It's just correcting to the exact right pixel, hoping you get it.
Yep. And also later on in that race, like I forgot I didn't have Varia for Mother Brain, and so I almost damaged down too low, like during the fight. So I also was about to die there too.
Gotcha. Well, real quick, I want to open up, Sloters, if you have any questions, but also I kind of want to just let Osse and azder, if you guys have any kind of final words about, racing each other or the tournament in general, you can express it. Obviously, we're proud of both of you guys, and we're really excited for y'all to continue further in your other tournaments. Y'all have been in a lot of big races so far in this entire event, which is great, but you're not done even after tonight. So I wish both of y'all well. I think both of y'all are racing tonight as well. So thank you for fitting this in today so we can get restreamed, and I'll just let you guys say whatever you like to say to close this out.
Yeah, so one more thing about the seeds, it was kind of interesting. I ended up personally with like kind of plasma ice, no charge in all of them at different points. So it was like kind of but I got plasma at varying points, so just like so the tipping point of when I decided that it was going to be okay to risk Lord Orpher was different, and it affected the results on all of those. But as far as going into this race, I was really happy to just make it to the finals, and racing Osse is always fun. It's kind of I feel like it's a good test of how I can do because of him coming into the community and getting to be one of the best at combo randomizer. So like we kind of do a lot of the same things, and I'm racing Maniacal tonight in SMZ3 semi, so if I win that, then we have another finals. The two of us are going to be in SMZ3 finals if I win tonight, and it's going to be tomorrow night. So
And I guess I'll say that I'd like to thank Kip for putting together the Dash Randomizer. It's a ton of fun. Particularly like the starter charge beam and all the special beam attacks you can use. Like, it has many uses in the later boss fights that you can get to earlier now. And the starter charge on Mother Brain is just a lot of fun. So I do like Dash a lot. So glad to have a tournament of it.
All right, Sloters, anything to add here?
I just want to say GG to both of you and congrats to Osse on the win. Both of you put on an amazing performance, especially game one. It was a pleasure to be able to commentate it and see it all live. But yeah, thank you, Kip, for joining me on the commentary. Always having a blast commentating with you. And yeah, this has just been a great tournament. It's been a lot of fun to play in, a lot of fun to watch everyone. So I'm really glad that we had this go on and have it turn out the way it did. I think Dash is great. It's a lot of fun to race, a lot of fun to watch. Yeah.
Well, thanks, guys. And I want, before we go, I don't know if somebody from SG is going to come in and say anything. Obviously, one downside of not having this in person this year, obviously unfortunate because of the pandemic, but we don't get the official trophy presentation like we did live in person last year. But Osse, I'm sure you'll have some type of award to be given. But I also want to, point out Cheaty Face 4, who was our tracker extraordinaire for this match. And I've said it at the end of almost every race I've been in, but y'all really got to give a ton of love to Tracy M, because Tracy has absolutely put in an insane amount of work, not only to help organize this on the front end, but also literally during this entire event. She has worked tirelessly to set up comms, track things, proctor things, make decisions. So I just want to say that we really appreciate you, Tracy, a lot, and thank you so much, not only for this event, but you're a mainstay for everything that we do tournament wise in Super Metroid. So thank you so much. And at this point, I guess we get to turn it over to Ms. Metroid. Ms. Metroid, are you there?
Yes, hello. Good afternoon, good evening. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much, Kip and Tracy, both. Kip definitely given Tracy a really big shout out there, but Kip has also done, obviously, the Dash Randomizer and an insane amount of work on the back end as well, organizing everything and working and participating as well. So thank you to both you and Tracy. Congratulations to Osse for sure, and azder. Thank you both so much for participating. It means a lot, and as the first time that we've had Super Metroid Rando at SpeedGaming Live, it's really exciting to have you guys as a head-to-head. That's such a nice pairing. It's hard to come across anything better. So, but yes, congratulations to Osse for winning the tournament. Everybody else for participating. All of our commentators. Tracy and Kip definitely, as the tournament admins, are our biggest helpers on the back end. We do also have our top donors for the event, which, as we have listed in the Matcherino page, is Mind of Me, Kip himself, Zeb316, and OK Beamer. We also have several of our SpeedGaming members who purchased gold tickets for the Matcherino SpeedGaming Live event. A couple of the people that I know from the community that have purchased those tickets, I'm going to shout out real quick, which is Super Nin Taylor, is a Super Metroid player, Maniacal 42, Drunk Future Self. Those are some of the gold ticket people who purchased and are active in the Super Metroid community, randomizer or otherwise. So thank you very much to them. And a couple of volunteer shout outs. We do definitely want to take note of Cheaty Face 4, having been the tracker extraordinaire, as Kip mentioned. Dark Moon EX is one of our volunteers that created our layouts for the event, the SpeedGaming Live t-shirts, a bunch of different things for the back end on our setup there. Drawlith is one of our volunteers that created our perlers for our prize incentives. Synac is the bot engineer who created the tools to assist in our race room creation, seed generation, and everything. Din from Racetime GG as well. So we definitely want to give a shout out to that crew for helping us with our race room procedures. And we also have Glasses, who is one of the people who allowed us to use music from his YouTube playlists for some of our background music. And yeah, thanks to all of our viewers, especially. Without you, we wouldn't be having this tournament. And we look forward to hopefully seeing you all live next year. Coming up next, we should have the Super Metroid Double Ante Bingo finals between the top two runners, Andrew and TG Derp. I believe that we'll be handing that over to our commentators, Apathy Duck and Cerberoth, following shortly. Any other thoughts, comments, questions, concerns? All right. Well, again, congratulations, Osse. I hope that you will be back next year, azder as well, and we look forward to seeing you guys in 2021.
I'll try to make it. We'll see.
Yep, thank you.